Well, today we will talk about Cloud Armor in Google Cloud. So basically, Cloud Armor help us to protect our Google Cloud deployments from like multiple types of threats, which can include like denial of service attacks, application attacks, which are called side scripting and SQL injection attacks. So with the help of Cloud Armor, we can protect our like GCP resources, and for doing that, we have to create the security policies to protect our application which are running behind a load balancer from like different types of attacks, which include like DDoS attacks and other web-based attacks. And like your application can be deployed on Google Cloud or in highway deployment or in a multi-cloud architecture. Google Cloud Armor also provides always-on DDoS protection against network and protocol-based volumetric DDoS attacks, and it is this protection is for applications or services which are running behind your load balancers, and it is also able to detect and mitigate network attacks in order to allow only like well-formed requests to the load balancer proxies. So basically, this Cloud Armor is very helpful tool, and whenever you create a load balancer, so you can use like Cloud Armor to protect the resources by allowing specific traffic. If you find any like DDoS attack, you can block the specific traffic by with the help of Cloud Armor. So when we use Cloud Armor, basically we have to create the security policies. So in this, there are two types of policies: backend policy and edge policy. We will see that in next slide. But basically, Cloud Armor security policies protect our application from layer level filtering, and it will scrub incoming requests from common web attacks like all level layer 7 attributes to potentially block traffic before it reaches to our load balance backend services or backend buckets. So like if someone is like try to doing any attack to your application or something, it will be blocked at the load balancer level only. It will never reach your backends or your backend buckets in which are hosting your application or your static content or dynamic content. And each security policy is like made up of set of rules that filter traffic based on conditions such as whether the IP address you want to block or IP range, any region code, like you want that no traffic will come from a specific location, like you want no traffic will come from China, so you can do that also. And request headers, like is any specific header in that request, so that traffic can be blocked with the help of security policy. And whenever a like incoming request matches a condition in a security policy, so Google Cloud Armor allow, denies, even redirects the request based on the rule, uh, like what we have based on the whether the rule is allow rule, deny rule, or a redirect rule. So if it is a deny rule, it will just drop the traffic, allow will pass the traffic, and even we can redirect, like we can do also can even use reCAPTCHA. So if you want that if some traffic will coming, it must solve that reCAPTCHA so that there will no bot which are like sending or trying to attack your web application by sending unlimited requests. And these are the load balancers as of now which support your Cloud Armor. So global external application load balancer, classic application, regional and regional internal application load balancer, global network load balancers are there, and even now VM with public IP address protocol forwarding can be supported by load like Cloud Armor. But there is a condition that you must have a Cloud Karma Enterprise to use this specific feature. And after that, backend, there are, as I've told you, there are two type of policies: backend security policies and edge security policies. So basically, backend security policies are applied at the backend level. So like your backend like any backend service, like your instance groups, NAG, and multiple are options are there. So these basically used to filter requests and protect backend services that reference your instance group, network endpoint groups, including internal, zonal, hybrid, serverless NAG, and basically not load balancer support all types of NAG to make sure. And backend security policies are used with backend services exposed by the following load balancer types. So these load balancer only support your backend services. So global, this you can check it out. After that, we have edge security policies. So as it uh, with the name edge means like it will be near to your traffic where it is be entering. So it enables user to configure filtering access control policies for content that is stored in cache, and this includes endpoints like cloud CDN enabled services and cloud storage buckets. Basically, if your content is stored in cache and you want that before anyone utilize your content from cache, it must be like filtered out with the edge security policy. So someone try to hit your cache, first it will check whether this person or this specific IP or this specific region enabled traffic is allowed or not. If it is not allowed, then it will be blocked at the edge level only. It will never reach your, even but it cannot access your application resources. And we can even edge security policies can coexist with backend policies, so they provide two layer of protection. So what will happen, like when when we use both edge security policy and backend security policies are enforced to the same backend service. So backend policy security policies are enforced only for cache miss. Suppose if you know about CDN, there are cache hit and cache miss. So cache miss means like the traffic is not available in the cache and it will go to your backend security policies to fetch the latest content. Maybe a dynamic, we can say dynamic, if you are serving some dynamic content, so it can pass from your edge security policies. So if you are using edge security, both security policies, you have to allow traffic to be allowed at the both levels. So if someone try to hit your traffic which is stored in CDN, first it will hit edge security policy. If there is, if somehow it missed the cache, it will go to your backend security policy, which is your backend like your instance group or your backend bucket. And as we know, only edge security policies can be applied to backend buckets. So basically backend security policies can be applied only to backend services, and edge security policies can be applied to both. But like it can also be applied to backend buckets also and backend services, and these two load balancer only supports, as we know, application load balancer only supports backend bucket. That's why it only supports this two load balancer. After that we have an edge, network edge security policy. So it allows us to configure rules to block traffic at the edge of Google network. And enforcing network edge policy does not consume VM or host resources, so which help us to prevent like high volume of traffic exhausting our resources on the target workload or otherwise causing a denial of service. So basically it will use for like network load balancer protocol forwarding of VM with public IP address, which you want that no one can send unlimited request to your workload or it will create a denial of service attack. So we can use network edge security policy, but it will a premium feature of cloud armor. So if you have enterprise license, then only you can use this kind of policy. After that we have rule evaluation order. So rule evaluation order determined by rule priority, like from lowest number to the highest number. As you know, firewall rules have priority, same here we have the, in this also we have the priority option, and the lowest number as always the highest priority, and the minimum priority in this is 0 and the maximum is this one. This is a very large number, and make sure when you are creating rules you give like give good difference between the your rules, so that in future if you want to add more rules you have the space in between. After that, these for the global scope policies, these are that some like we can create policy two types, like globally and regional. And if you want to create global one, so global means like if you have a global load balancer, then only you can use this our classic load balancer, which is using global resources like your global LV with multi or instance group in multiple regions like that, and it only support backend service. And for air security policy, it supports both backend service and backend bucket. You can check out this like rule action, it allow, deny, redirect. We can do redirect, throttle, we like this specific request in this specific time, or rate based ban, like we can ban like if request like cross the limit, it will ban the specific client for requesting more uh, requests. As we have seen, like if you try to hit application multiple time, it will block your access for some time. So that is rate based ban. We can check, this is a very long list, I have just taken a small screenshot. And after that we have regional scope policy, it is for regional load balancers, and it is only supported by network, as there is no security policy, because only global support edge policy. And in this here network edge, which is a enterprise one, we cannot use this. That's why I have, this is like this in which it support target port, target instance, backend service regional instance. And inside regional backend security policy we have regional load balancers, and in this we don't have redirect option in this one. And rest week you can check out this. I will share a link in the description. You can see all the things. So let's do a demo and see how it all works. So I'm in my console. So right now I don't have any VM. So first of all, we have to create a load balancer, and for that I will create two instance group in different regions. For that I already have instance template, and so let me create the instance group first, and then I will, these are my instance template, and I will use them to create two instance group in two different regions, and then I will create a load balancer, and then we will see how we can use the cloud armor policy. So I have created my instance group. Two are in London region, two are in US West. So let's go to load balancer, and we will create a load balancer for our cloud armor. So first of all, I'm using application load balancer. After that, I'm using a public load balancer which will be internet facing, and it will be a global load balancer. So first of all we will check global. After that we can check for regional also, and we will click on next, and I will choose global load external application load balancer. You can use classic also, but it is now recommended one global external one, and we will click on configure. After that we have to provide a name, so we can say my LB. So front end, after that in backend we have to create a backend service first of all. So we will click on backend service. We can say like my backend service, any name you can provide. And if you don't know like about load balancer, you can check out my previous videos on load balancers, or you will get an idea. After that I will choose my instance groups, and port number I will use 80. This is a very basic load balancer and very basic what we say like instance group. After that I will choose one more load by my backend, and that will be in US West 4. Port number will be 80. It is just serving my host name of my instance, and I will I don't need CDN as of now. After that, for health check, I already have health check. It will check on port 80, and is it like whenever you create a load balancer, it will create a default security policy for you. If you don't need, you can make it done. So for this video, let it use default one. I will delete, but let's see what are in this default. It is this name. It is using request count. If like 500 requests comes in a minute interval for any IP address, so then it will like block their access. It kind of throttle one. So if you send more than 500 requests in a minute, you will get a response like you are sending too many requests, and you will have to wait until your 1 minute has been over. So let's click on create, and I will also create a backend bucket. So I will choose like my backend bucket, and bucket I will choose. So this is my bucket. I will select. For this, even we can enable CDN if you want. So let enable CDN for this, and it is, and for this there is we can only connect edge security policy. So right now we don't have any edge security policy, so it is not showing us anything. And if you want, you can create first, and after that you can attach to it. Let's click on create. Looks good everything. Let's go to routing rules, and I will get a routing rule path as to, I will provide a path. So I am saying if any traffic will come to like star means my IP address slash city.png, it will go to my backend bucket, and rest all the traffic will go to my backend service. It looks good. Let's click on create. So my load balancer has been created. Let's go inside my load balancer and see what the IP it has given to me, so that we can start our testing. So this is our IP, and these are my backends or are healthy. This is my backend bucket. And if you go to cloud armor policies, and if I uh, refresh my page, so we can see a default policy also, which we have chosen while creating the load balancer, and that is optional. If you don't want, don't check out that, but it is doesn't do anything much. It is just creating a throttle that more than 5 requests in a minute, it will give an error. So this is our my default policy. So if I go inside that, so basically if we see, there are two rules. One is throttle for any range and default limiting rule, and see the priority also. This is totally last ones, two last rules. And other rule is allow all IP address. It is allowing all the IP address. And if you click on edit this policy, and we can see these are matching this 500 requests in a interval, and enforce on key IP address, and it will match any IP address. Action is deny, it will give 403. If you try to do this, this is the priority number. We can cancel this. And also let's see, we have targets. In this target we can see our policy has been applied to this target, which is my backend service. If we go, this is our my backend service, it has been applied to this. It cannot be applied to my backend bucket. If I try to apply policy to new target, it will give an error, because as I've already told you, backend services, this is my backend service. Backend policy means, so it will only be applied to your backend service only. It doesn't support backend bucket. So that's a default security policy. So let's do one thing. First of all, if you want to delete the policy, you have to remove the target also. So we can click on this and we will remove this specific target, which is our backend service. So as I have removed this backend target, after that I can delete this policy. So now let me delete this policy. We don't need any anymore. So let's go to load balancer and see how that load balancer is working. One thing I've not told you, that I have already using firewall rules. So this is not a load balancer video. It is of Cloud Armor video. So you must use cloud load balance like firewall rules to allow traffic to reach to your backend. So there is a specific load balancer IPs like Google IP, which send traffic from Google endpoints to your load from like your which send traffic from load balancer to your backend service. So that rule must be allowed in your configuration. If it is there, if it doesn't there, you cannot reach your backends. So that's why my backends are also healthy, because I have that rule. Let me show you also, because in this video I'm basically focusing on Cloud Armor. That's why I'm not talking about that step also. So these are two rules which I am using. These are the main two rules, this 130 and 35, which I'm using. You can ignore this one. This is a private IP, but these two rules you must have allowed in your firewall rules. And I'm using port 80 in one which my application is running. So now I can see like my application started responding. So if I refresh this page, so you can see multiple. It is changing that. Host name. So sometimes 019b, and sometimes it is like a different one. So sometime it is S3FC, which are these two one, because I'm near to US, so that's why my traffic is going to US. Someone is near to London, so their traffic will go to this region. So and if I do like the rules, if I go to my rules, if I do /tt.png, it will send my traffic to my backend bucket. So let's do that also. Slash, so you can see it is loading a page. So we can say that my traffic is, my load balancer is properly working fine, and it is sending traffic to both like my backend bucket and backend service. Now suppose you want to block some access. So suppose there I have a test VM. This is its IP, and even I can, if I do curl from my VM, and like do I let me do a curl. So I can see it is showing the page has been set from this US to West one. And if I do once again, it must change sometimes that host name also. It will send, see now sending traffic to different VM. So suppose I want to block this specific traffic. It is a malicious VM or malicious IP which is sending traffic to my application, and it is creating like it is kind of a attack which I want to block. So basically I can copy this IP. You can find that IP from your logs, or maybe a monitoring tool which you are using. So this is a demo. I don't have a monitoring tool, but you can check your logs, and from you can figure it out which application, like which IP range or from which location traffic is coming. So you can copy your IP, that IP, and you can create a new policy, and you can name your policy. So like deny some traffic, let's call it this like this. So now you can give a description also. So now there are two types of policy, as I've already talked about: backend policy and edge network policy. So backend means it will apply to your backend, like your backend services, and edge will, which it will be applied to your edge location, like your CDN. If you're using CDN, or that, it is very useful policy. So let's first talk about backend security policy. So whenever you create a policy, it is two types, like global or regional. So if your VM, like your load balancer, is regional, you can choose a regional one. If it is a global LB, you can use global one. So as you know, I have created a global load balancer. While creating, you can see it is a global external load balancer. So I must use global one. After that, default rule action, which is kind of mandatory now, and which is what you want a default rule. It is allow all the traffic or deny. So I'd want that default is like kind of deny only. It will deny all the traffic. I don't want anyone reach out to my VM. Or you can make allow, like you want like default everyone is allowed to access your VM. And after that, you can click on next, and you can add more rules. So you can click on add a rule. You can provide a description like why you are creating a rule. So you can say like uh, block some IP, and you can give a better description also. So it supports two mode, like basic mode or advanced mode. In this video we are talking about basic mode. In next video I will talk about advanced mode, in which we have to write some expressions. So in like go to basic mode, in this we have to provide a IP address or range. So in like support, let's provide our VM IP, which is this IP, test VM IP, and this is my /32 VM IP. After that, in that action, I have five action. Allow means I want allow, deny, throttle, trade based ban, and redirect. So first of all, see deny. After that, we will see all these three also. I will click on deny, and what will the response code I want to provide? So not found, forbidden, or bad gateway. So let's say we want like not found, enable preview only. So we can create in a preview mode, but that I will talk in next video. In this we are seeing the basic one. After that we have to provide a priority. So you can provide a priority from this highest like lowest. So let's give him like 1 lakh, and click on done. After that, click on next step. You can add multiple rules. If you want to add more rules, click on next. After that, we have to add it into a add target. If you don't want to add it as of now, you can skip this part and go to next one directly, but we want to add. And here we have to select a backend service. That is our my backend service, that is this one. I want to use my backend service, and I will click on next step. And it is advanced configuration, we are not touching this one also, but this is like for headers and content parsing. We will see in, like more when I create more parts of this video. And for this it is okay. Let's give advanced, click on done, and click on create policy. If so, my policy has been created. So let's go inside, deny some traffic. And also one thing more I want to tell you, like you can only attach a single policy to a single backend. So like in this backend security policy, this policy can be attached to multiple targets, but a single target like your backend service can only have one backend policy, backend security policy attached to it. You cannot attach multiple policies to it. There is an exception that, but we can attach a edge security policy. So if you want to attach both edge and backend security policy, that will work, but you cannot attach two backend policy to a single backend service. So let's see what is doing. It is blocking this IP and allowing all IP. So it will take some time to propagate this over the. So let's wait some little bit. After that we will see. So after waiting some time, now this tool is working. So if I do a curl, it is giving me 404 not found. You can see like this, it is not allowing me, which is I've used like 404 it was given. And if I go to my browser and do the same thing here, if I open this in the browser, it is still working for me in the browser, but it is not working in for me in this specific thing. If I do my on that also, like image also, image, it is working fine because it is behind a backend bucket. It is not, it is policy only for backend, like for this backend service only. So it is applied to backend service only, and any other traffic going to any other thing, it is working fine. So you can see I'm getting 200 for my backend bucket, but not for my, if I do like this, not for my like anything like for my backend service. So if I add anything else in this like slash anything, it will not work. You can see not found, because if you go to see my load balancer, it is saying that only .ct.png will go to my backend bucket, and rest any unmatched traffic will go to my backend service. That's why it is dropping all any traffic which I send to my backend service, it will be dropped. And if I send any traffic to my ct.png backend bucket, it will be work fine. As we can see, we are getting 200 okay. And if I want to block this traffic at the backend bucket level also, so then I have to create a edge policy, which will be see soon. Now let's do another part of this video. Let's go to let's add one more rule. And for this time we will check like throttle or another one. So in this is the basic mode. This in this now we have to provide let me provide my IP of my machine. So this is my public IP. So let's go here in this deny some traffic rule in my, and I will provide my public IP of my machine. And after that, in the action we have already seen allow and deny. Now let's do throttle. In this, what will happen? We will set some threshold setting. So if we send 10 requests in a minute, like more than 10 requests in a minute, it will give an error which can be like exceed action, like deny or 403, 404 or 502, like 429, like too many requests. So let it make it 5 only, so we can test it. And you can increase the interval also if you want to, like for in 30 seconds, 10 seconds. So if someone sends 5 requests in 10 seconds, so their action, they will get a error like too many requests. According to that, you can use this specific. And this enforce on key configuration, like you can choose, like if IP address or HTTP header, you can provide a header name here, or you can use export worded IP address, cookie, path, server name, region code. If some region code you want, like in this, it will be selected for all, and IP address, it will be selected for all IP address. We cannot make a specific IP here. Let me choose all also, but you can check these all options which you want to use, like cookie and anything you want to use, service indication, all that. So let's go with all. So if anything matches in these of these, it will be enforced. And this is our action, and after that you have to provide a priority. So let's make it any priority we can give, like let's make it 10,000, and we will click on add rule. So rule has been created, but it will take some time to be like properly enforced. So let's wait 2-3 minutes, and after that we can do start our testing. So after waiting for some minutes, it is now working fine. So let me show you also. So if I refresh my page, and after 5 requests in a minute, it will give me too many requests. So this is second time, third, fourth, fifth. Now it is saying 429 too many requests. So I have to wait a minute. After that, they will enable again my quota, we can see, so that we can send more requests. So like this, you can make sure that no one try to make your server down. Basically, you have seen in the government sites, if you try to hit to again and again, you will basically get this 429 too many requests, because they don't have a good infrastructure to maintain their server. So that's why they have something like this configured already. So like this, you can also make your use this specific features so that to make your server or your application up without being hampered or being go down. And so like this, we can throttle our traffic. And after that, we have more rules, and let's see another rule also. We have seen till the throttle part, so now we will focus on the another one, that is rate based ban. But one thing I want to tell you, that I have moved to different locations, so that my IP has been changed to a new IP. Also, I have recreated the load balancer and all the things once again. So you may see different host names when I try to hit the application. So I want to just inform you. So let's move back and let's create a new rule. It is for a rate based ban. So let's go. So we have to provide a IP here. So this is my new IP. This is my system IP I'm giving. After that, in the deny action, I will choose the rate based ban. So in this also we have the threshold setting, which we have seen in the throttle part. So here I will say if the request count is 5 in, like in say 30 seconds, and enforce on key configuration. I'm choosing all, you can choose according to you. So it will deny the action, like it will say like request too many requests, and ban duration will be 1 minute. But for the ban duration, I will also setting a ban threshold setting. So let's say I will say if 8 requests come in under 1 minute, so it will put a ban. So basically, what will happen if I send 5 requests in first 30 seconds, it will work. But if I try to send again 5 requests in another 30 seconds, so it will just block my. It will create a ban for 1 minute because I have for the ban threshold setting I have put it once like 8 requests, total 8 requests in 1 minute can come. So that's why it will create a ban. So we will see how it works. This is not required. If you don't want, just don't put this, and you can just use this both also separately. And priority, let's give 1000. Now it is working as a check. So let's try once again. If I send 5 first request, it will work fine. So after that, it will give us like too many requests. After that, it will just ban us. Like say it is even 4 to 9, too many requests. After waiting, like in the first 30 seconds, I can send only 5 requests. After 30 seconds, if I try to send more requests, I can send only 3 requests, and after that, it will just ban us for a minute. So let's wait for some time. So after waiting for 30 seconds, let's now once again try. I can only send now 3 requests. So one, two, three. Now this one I cannot send. Like again, it is saying like 4 to 9, too many requests. If I try sending, I have been banned for a minute. So now I can send requests only after a minute only. Now like this you can try this database ban. It's a little like complicated one, but you can try if you want to. So basically I have even you have both option. You can just use this threshold setting and don't use this ban threshold setting. Even this ban duration will work. If you want to use ban threshold setting separately, with this you can try to use this also. So let's move to another thing which is now pending, is only redirect one. So let's do that also. First of all, let me delete this rule, otherwise it will create problem while doing the testing. So I'm just deleting this rule and copy this our IP. So let me add a new rule, and this time we will see how redirect works. So redirect, as I've told you, we have two options. So we will see both those options. So let's go to redirect, and in the redirect we have two options, whether we can use reCAPTCHA enterprise or you can use external 302. In that you have to provide a target URL. So like if I provide this URL, it will send the traffic to this specific URL, or I can basically use this reCAPTCHA. So we will see both of them. So let's first of all check reCAPTCHA enterprise. For this you have must enable this API, and maybe it can charge you also. So make sure what you're doing, and let's say priority is 999, and let's click on it. So after waiting for some time, let's try to access our VM. We can see it is sending us to a reCAPTCHA. So once we like select all the cards only, then it will like we can access our application. You can see even if I refresh only, after that it works fine. For the first request, it will send it to a reCAPTCHA. Same like this, if you want to do a redirect also, we can edit it and it can send us to a like a redirect URL also. If you want to send to some external URL, just provide the URL here. Suppose this URL, and when you hit your application, it will send you to this specific URL for that. Like for the specific URL. Like this, you can do all the things in this. Like we have all the 5 options which we can do. So this video is getting little long. So what I will do, I will create another video for that edge network policy which is remaining, and backend and edge network policy, both how it works, and the regional one. After that we will see some advanced option, but it will take some time. So let's close this video here only. If you have any questions or suggestions, just comment it down. I will try to work on it. Thank you.